Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you for joining me again. This is Monday. It's for December 4th, 2023. There is quite a bit going on today that I'm going to go over. And so we're going to start right in with the markets. We've got our favorite risk indicator, the MMRI. It's slightly above 270 now. It's rising. However, it's still relatively stable. So I think nothing here at the moment. Watching the relative strength of the dollar, and we'll talk about that in a minute, with the 10-year yield slightly rising, but nothing dramatic at the moment. We've got stocks are in positive territory. Asian markets also did trade in the green. So oil is dropping a bit, and there's more to that I'll go over in a bit. Volatility index rising slightly, the fear gauge, so to speak. So the largest teller right now is the futures are disagreeing with it. So while the sentiment is kind of mixed, still expecting pretty much a green day as far as stocks, with nothing, barring anything major happening. We are still watching the central banks moving forward and German factory orders on Wednesday. I have more on that in a bit as well. So with the calendar, we're expecting factory orders at 10 a.m. And then tomorrow, we are getting, and again, that's a lagging indicator, but we're getting a PMI, ISM, and JOLTS job openings at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we'll be watching forward to those. So I've got a revision for something that I had spoken about, and this is regarding the United States GDP, our gross domestic product, which is what is major gauge for whatever you're producing. So I had mentioned that the we had a great GDP number, but what is not spoken about is that counted in that number is military spending. All of the weapons, all of the gear that we're sending towards our proxy wars with Russia via Ukraine or with Iran via Israel, all of the money that we keep promising and sending over there is being counted in the GDP. But what I had said, in a normal world, you would see that balanced in the trade deficit, because when we send weapons and things like of that nature overseas, we don't get a return for it. There's not money coming back or any goods really coming back from that. So in a normal world, you would see that in the balance sheet. However, what I realized later is that our Department of Defense has failed 6 audits in a row. And with that, basically, they've got trillions of dollars, $3.5 trillion in assets, and they cannot account for 61% of it. So basically, this is throwing this in the trash of their losses up to 61%. It's quite a large number, and no one is questioning this. And as long as no one forces accountability or questioning of this can continue. So they're boosting the GDP, and that's one way they're doing it. So, talk a little bit more about arms. The United States is dominating global arms trade. We've got the top 10 companies that are producing, and it's just massive. And then from the Pentagon, we're hearing on the back of all of this that the United States is going to quadruple the munitions production. And they're talking about Ukraine's high burn rate for artillery. So again, their spending through this military and through the wars continuing. It's one more back way to inflate that there is no say, there's no vote on, and it will continue. So just wanted to talk about that because that's a major portion of the economy and the numbers they're talking about. So all of this inflation that is being created through this is also getting, on top of it, exported through the United States dollar, because at the moment it's still the reserve currency. So the talk through the markets, the Fed with the rates at a peak. Now they're looking at holding for a while and eventually a pivot lower. I do agree with this. A lot of them speaking about March. I think it will be later. So with this, other assets, which is including Bitcoin, is now included in an asset, is surging in value, as well as gold, rising to record levels. And even so, they're talking about the dollar pulling back some ground, but that's because it lost so much tremendously in this last market rally. So it's not losing as quickly as it really should be losing value. But we will see that continue. So over in the UK, the reason I've got this out, they are looking at their digital pound because CBDCs are out, but they're one of the first ones in a Western country that are looking at putting out their CBDC, and they're realizing some of the fallbacks, some of the drawbacks to this as far as interest and how this valuation of assets is going to affect their economy. So they have to move slowly with this and wait for it to get adopted. So I've got Evergrande also. So this is another larger factor in real estate through the economy in China. This major real estate issue, everyone's been watching it, but they've pushed off the liquidation hearing to January. And basically what they're doing in the background is they are waiting for these rates to come back down. And once these rates come down and they balance out a little bit, if they have to get loans for this, or the losses will be mitigated when this inflation and the loan rates kind of balance out a little bit more. So pushed it off one more time. We are in a election cycle for the United States. So the longer they can do that, the better off for them. Going into oil and commodities, we got quite a bit for the energy front because long term, the price of oil and energy is inflationary. As we know here, if you've been here for a while, and if you're new here, stick around. We'll get you up to speed. So, UAE signing a deal with none other than Bill Gates. If you didn't realize, he had a nuclear company with advanced reactors. So, United Arab Emirates going through this. We've also got more stories coming out for nuclear fusion. So, this is not out yet. It's not in production. But they're talking about this because they want to break the narrative of what's going on with the fossil fuels and distract you. And we've got more stories coming out about electric vehicle charging. And they're talking about slowing the growth plans because the power grid of the European Union can't handle it yet for the massive amounts they're talking about putting out. And this is all on the back of this climate summit coming out. And many people, they keep distracted thinking about the electrical charging of their vehicles, that it's clean, but how the real story, they're burning fossil fuels in order to create this energy because right now they don't have enough nuclear energy. They're not running enough windmills or solar cells. So they're basically burning oil, gas, coal to create this energy that they are plugging the vehicles in with. Nobody wants to hear the truth. It's much, much different than they envision. So, with the climate change meeting, and this is really what it's about, talking about larger than usual group of investors and bankers descending in Dubai as they awaken to the major profit potential inherent in this green transition. It's all about the money. And so this one also supporting this from a different side, talking about the climate finance taking center stage because they're all talking about the loans. There's massive amounts of money to be made here. They all know this. Bankers are not necessarily interested in saving the planet. They're looking at their padding their bottom line. So as the truth comes out, this is really the real deal. So as far as the real economy, and this is what they're trying to buffer, German exports, their drop in October, they are the powerhouse of the European Union. So if they fall, and this is all in the back end of energy, their prices rise, it's highly inflationary. So while we're going to see a deflationary drop, while the middle and lower class lose out more temporarily, then inflation will rise again and take out more of that upper class, upper middle class, that is. So I wanted to bring this up. Prime Minister Modi is gaining power in India with the elections. And the reason I'm bringing that up, again, if you've been here, India is the up-and-coming economic powerhouse and producer. So that will, whoever has the alliances with India will have a major advantage. So I also want to bring up what is not talked about in the Western Hemisphere. Iran has now been ranked by none other than the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, 25th among the world's top commercial shipping fleet owners. So this is 25th out of 186 countries. So the narrative is that Iran is terrible, they're a third world country, they have nothing. And the truth is they are gaining in power, particularly over oil. Sanctioned Russia, and that basically just bolstered these countries. They still don't like us. They did attack us. There were some things going on over in the Gulf again this morning, and they're angry about the $6 billion that the current administration had promised, and it's still locked up in funds in Qatar. So, not really happy with us at the moment. And yes, there's bombing and other things going on with some of the United States warships. And a lot of this, again, is distraction and cover ups for where the money is going. So we've got Venezuela. Also, they've got voters backing the claim to the oil rich land area now under dispute with Guyana. So, oil rich, again, first they're talking about border dispute, but really it's the resources. All of that being said, on the financial side, wanted to bring you something pretty cool. This did actually come out a while ago, but they created actually a black hole because we're speaking about energy. And this is the ultimate in energy, is actually dark matter, and black holes have part of the key to this. So they're creating this in a lab experiment. I think they're going a little beyond their bounds here, but then it started to glow with that energy creation. Just thought that was very cool. Thought I'd bring that up. With that, I wish you all a green trading day, just a wonderful day in general. Thank you all again for being here and supporting me. If you haven't yet and you're still here, please hit that like. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.